This is Michael from TXBrewsandTunes, and I'm here with Emily, Bell, and the Talkbacks. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
To get started, tell me a little bit about your band, the type of music you guys play, and where you guys are from.
We're from here.
Yeah, we're from Austin.
Yep.
Austin locals.
That's it. Yeah. I've been here for 12 years, and you've been here for 11.
Oh my gosh. No, I've been here for like 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
So you guys are like almost, I would call that horses in Austin years, right? Because it's not quite a unicorn because you weren't born here, but...
Right.
Right. Yeah, you guys actually lived here.
Yeah.
Like this is probably like my third year being here, so I would say I'm like a donkey. No, not a donkey. Let's not say that, but pony. No, not a pony. Anyway,
You're like a turtle.
Yeah.
Right? You're right?
A mule?
so I guess when I'm a turtle, and then I turn into like a mutant somehow into like a. What's going on? So what kind of music? Like, what's your guys' genre?
It's rock and roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rock and roll.
At its heart, that's really, whenever we write a song, that's rule number one is a rock and roll.
Yeah, it's rock and roll.
I think one of the amazing things about Austin itself is you can live here for 3 years and still not have discovered you guys. It's an amazing thing, I think, in Austin because there's so much music around here all the time, and you can literally just discover a great band like you guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of music in Austin.
What are the typical venues that you guys play in, or bars here locally? That way, if people ever have the chance to catch you guys, they usually can find you.
Let's see. Well,
our album release is going to be at 310, which is the new ACL.
Oh, nice.
So the Moody Theater's got a club underneath it. That's
the new Moody Live Theater. That's right underneath.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably a good. And honestly, Austin's kind of hurting for that 300 to 400 capacity room, right?
It really is.
We've got smaller rooms and you've got bigger rooms, but like that medium-sized room that honestly for me runs like 400 to 800 people. There's not too many outlets for that. So
there's the Parish.
Yeah.
We'll play the Parish. There's the Mohawk. The Continental Club. We'll play.
Done Stubbs a handful of times.
Stubbs.
Dang, all places I've gone to, and I just it's probably like one of those things that I just happen to miss you guys right when I was there.
Well, and also when you kind of go through your cycles as an Austin musician, you tend to play a lot of venues at first, which is great. It's what you should do. But then you kind of find your favorite places, and you have to figure out how to not overplay the city because there's so many bands. You want to really pick the times that you play.
Right.
Pick the right dates. Pick the right.
Once you've kind of taken some time to establish a decent fan base, you've got to be really sensitive to not wearing them out, right? So if you're doing 2 shows a month and you've got a solid fan base of, say, 800 people, right? That means half your fan base is going to show up monthly, roughly, and then you're splitting that into 2 shows per month, whereas if you did like 1 show every 90 days, or you really chose, that's where we're at, right? Is really choosing the shows that we play so that we're not overplaying the city, we're not wearing out our fan base, and we can make each show memorable instead of just, we've been talking about this, but it's quality over quantity, right? We want to make sure that when we put on a show, that it's an event, that it's a thing that people want to show up to, and it's not like, oh, I saw those guys 2 weeks ago, let's just go grab a couple of Lone Stars and, see them again. We kind of curate the bills that we're on and kind of people we play with.
And Austin fans are just like that, right? They're very hipster in nature. No matter if you're hipster or not, they're very hipster in nature. So they either pop up your band, or they'll be like, "Oh, I saw them the other day, but I already saw them twice this month."
Well, yeah, people like to go out a lot in this city, and we like to go out a lot. We love our city, and so you just kind of have to pick the right time.
So let's get into how you guys formed your band together, since you guys have been living here for a while, how did it come to be?
Well, I was releasing my first record,
Right.
and we were both in different bands.
Okay.
And we ended up.
Any story about those two bands that you guys were a part of before? Or
That's particularly. I mean, she's always been Emily Bell, right?
Yeah.
So Emily Bell happened to be on the bill with this other band that I was in. That's literally completely irrelevant. But
wait, Emily Bell's not like a AKA name, right?
No, it is my name.
Awesome. Maybe we might have to check that driver's license just in case.
Yeah. Well, my first name is Mary, but I've always been called Emily.
Okay.
My parents always wanted my names. Well, no, my parents always wanted my names to be Mary and Emily, and they always wanted to call me Emily, but Emily Mary Bell didn't sound good to them.
That sounds like the start of a nursery rhyme.
Yeah, well, I mean, my name sounds like a nursery rhyme regardless. So they named me Mary Emily Bell, but I've always been Emily. That's always been my name.
And so, yeah, I mean, we just happened to split a bill, and I kind of fell in love with the music that she was playing at the time, and they didn't have a keyboard player, and that's what I do. So, at that point, I really just asked. I was like, yo, can I, play keyboard with you guys? And that was, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, our relationship has just grown from there.
Are there other people in the band?
Yeah.
there's the Sage.
There's John Evans, who is my partner in life and in music. We've been together for 7 years, and he plays guitar, and he's also an incredible producer. We do a lot of co-producing, co-writing. There's Tony Brown, who's the second guitarist. We've got Charles Cruz, who's our bassist, and we've got Anthony Pummel, who is our drummer.
We did not forget about you guys. You guys are here in spirit.
Yeah.
For sure. So this being South by, is this since you guys live here in Austin, is this one of your first times at doing South by itself, or
My ninth South by.
ninth South by? Wow.
Yeah, this is with this band, it's our fifth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fifth or sixth, something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Let's talk about life on the road. How do you guys travel usually? How's that dynamic as a band? Because everyone's story is different with that, right?
First tour that we took what was it, like a 38-foot RV, and it was amazing and awful at the same time.
Did it come with the kitchen?
Came with the kitchen. It came with a bedroom in the back.
Even came with a porta potty.
Came with a porta potty.
porta potty.
Yeah, and the problem with the porta potty is, obviously you don't poop in the porta potty.
Number rule, ban rules on buses.
We actually put gear in the bathroom, so we never used the bathroom. We never used it.
Never.
Yeah. So, but for some reason, it just kept stinking. There was something. It was an older. I think the
I know where this
RV
is
was.
going.
The RV must have been from. It was early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was probably a late 90s RV.
Yeah.
Sounds like something you might buy in Buda. No, if there's any RVs that might follow us later, I'm sorry, but sounds like Buda to me.
Yes. Well, I live in Buda, and it.
So it was not from Buda, but
No, I know you're talking about the RV park in Buda.
Yeah.
The RV shop in Buda.
I was not even talking about that. So that was you plugging that in, not me. So RV Park in Buda, we have not named you yet, but you know who you are.
Yeah.
John's got that sweet Sprinter that we'll use. So
Yeah, we have a Sprinter now, so we'll be using that for sure. But the RV was definitely smelly halfway through. When we got to Manhattan, we ended up parking.
Austin, all in Manhattan.
We drove it into Manhattan and ended up parking it on the east side, in Lower East Manhattan, and sleeping in it on the street in Lower East Manhattan, walking out, saying hey to everybody with our coffee. It was pretty awesome.
That's awesome. First off, that you guys found parking.
I know. We got a few parking tickets, but it was.
So there might be a warrant out, maybe in New York. Not sure who it would go to, but whoever's, maybe to the other band members that aren't here for the interview,
Yeah, totally.
So let's talk about, I know you guys mentioned before we started interviewing you, the two songs that you guys wanted to specifically talk about that you guys are very proud of. One being on the new album and one being close to home for you guys.
Well, our next music video that's coming out is for our song "Goddess of Destruction," and we actually released that song a while ago, but it's on this EP, and the title of this EP is Kali, and Kali is the Hindu goddess of destruction.
Oh wow!
She's the goddess of death and destruction.
She catches a bad rap, but it's actually way cooler.
She catches a bad rap, but you know, when you dig deeper, I spent 2 months in India, and you know, Kali, that's when I first learned about her. She's the goddess of the death of the ego and the goddess of change. And when I wrote that song, I was going through my own process of change, and change can feel destructive. It usually does. And right at that time, it felt like the world, and it still does, obviously, is just going through this intense time of destruction and change. But the kind of story of Kali is that you have to, you know, I have a farm, or my family has a farm in Nacogdoches, and we burn the land. You know, you burn land in order to let new growth happen. And so destruction in the process can feel like fire, like death, but you have to burn it down in order for new growth to happen. So I tend to look at it that way, that there's so much going on in the world, and there's a lot of stuff that we want to destroy and get rid of. Like a detox, the toxins rise to the surface before they release.
But sometimes beautiful things come from destruction.
Exactly. But so yeah, this song I actually wrote it around the time of Michael Brown's death, and you know, people were protesting in the street, and all the media was focusing on were the few people rioting, and it really made me so angry. You know, there was his mother in such grief, and the whole town in grief, and they were upset and they were angry, and they weren't getting their moment. Nobody was letting them have their moment, and I don't think that they've ever really been given their moment.
Among other people, you know, I think what I love most about the idea of Kali is it's not just the goddess of death or destruction. It's more specifically the death of the ego and of ignorance, right? And I've said this once, I'll say it again because I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, but like as artists, it's our job, traditionally, historically, and more now than ever, to call out the things that we see that are unjust and be the voice for the marginalized, right? That is our job as artists. So with Goddess of Destruction, we have a unique position to be able to respond to the marginalization of the urban community or the marginalization of females, right? It's just really amazing to be able to be a part of something where we have something to say, and that's what we focus on, is making sure what we're saying is the message that we want to send out to the world in order to combat the things that we look at and we're like, man, that's not really okay. It's not really okay that, you know, you said that. We could get into specifics, but
yeah, so that's really and I decided to call the song Goddess of Destruction. It made me think of Kali because there's this, sometimes it can just feel like the whole world's on fire, and in order to make sense of it all, there's this icon that has been created many years ago, that has existed throughout time, that can kind of remind us that, you know, there is this is a story of humanity throughout time.
And for some that don't know, #history lesson, India is one of the oldest civilizations on Earth, and so that's just amazing that you're there in general. What brought you to India?
Well, I was leaving. I had been working in LA for about 5 years in the music industry. I was writing with the Tonys and Raphael Sadiq, and I finally decided it was time for me to go off and do my thing as a solo artist. Moved to Austin, and I was kind of in transit, and my sister was in India, and I was like, well, okay. I'll just go to India for a couple months and, not take a breather, because you don't really take a breather in India. I'm a big traveler. My father's a big traveler. He always taught my sister and I to never vacation, but to travel. And so, I went to India. My sister and I just took trains all the way from South India all the way up to the border of Pakistan, and it was amazing. India's like, if there's anything close to time travel, I would say go to India if you ever want to time travel. It's a really intense place. It's a fascinating place. It's everybody should see the world.
Yeah, totally agree.
So, take the time to see the world.
Travel breeds perspective, right? I think most important to anything that we've talked about right now is perspective, right? And you can't truly understand someone else's perspective until you can meet them where they are, right? And I think that's one of the benefits we have as musicians, is we get to travel and we get to meet people where they are, right? And it's whether that's India or whether that's Eastern Europe or whether that's, the slums of Russia or, Tokyo.
I was in Rajasthan, India, which is the only state in India that still recognizes the Maharaja.
Oh, wow.
And we were staying in this, so there are princes and princesses there still, and kings, they still recognize that. And we were staying in this palace that had been turned into a hotel, and the prince of that town found out that I was a singer, and he lived in the place that we stayed. We were staying where he lived, and there are caste systems in India, and musicians are caste in India, and they have their own, in Rajasthan they have their own villages, and they are at the beck and call of the prince. And so they found out I was a singer, and so they organized this kind of elaborate dinner and called up the village of musicians, and they all came, which I felt, obviously I felt a bit guilty. It's a much different system than it is here in the States, that you're born into being a musician there. You're born into whatever caste you're born into in India. And probably 20 musicians came and sat down, and they were from the age of like 6 to probably 80 years old, and they all sat down and they put on this concert for us, and they called me up to sing with them, and so he would sing.
And you're like, oh my god, I'm on the spot, need a...
Well, no, I wasn't on. He would sing, because he taught me how to sing
their traditional
music. Their traditional, the way that Indian people sing is very unique. It says,
could have fooled me, possibly Indian in nature.
No. But it's really unique. So he sat there and he taught me a song, which was cool.
I hope there's some type of video on that you can...
There is. I think someone think my dad might have filmed it.
If you do find that, I mean, that should be turned into like a movie novel. Like, holy cow! Seriously, that's one of the most amazing stories I've heard in a while.
Oh wow!
Yeah, no joke.
The stories from India. I mean, I drank beer. My sister and I drank beer until 4 a.m. with Tibetan refugees in Bihar and Bihar, India, where the Bodhi tree is, which is where Siddhartha meditated and became Buddha. Bihar is the Buddhist capital in India. That's where we were there when all the monks made pilgrimage. Every November, monks from every country make pilgrimage to Bihar and meditate around the Bodhi tree. And we were there with the Tibetan monks and the Tibetan refugees.
So going back to something you guys said a little while ago, which thank you for sharing that story because that's amazing, is the fact that I think that we're so disadvantaged as Americans that we don't have that cultural surroundings that like the European countries do, and they could take a train from literally Europe all the way to like Russia if they wanted to, or like they get 3 months off to just travel and like to not work and travel. And I think like within the States we do have different cultures. I mean, from here to Mississippi, that's totally different. From Mississippi to Florida, totally different. Even all the way to New York, to across the nation to California, like everyone's different. But we don't have that cultural differences like the European countries do. So I think that's like one aspect that you guys were talking about too, that we're over here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important for people to, especially Americans. I think, we think something that's 100 years old is really, really cool, which is great. There's something incredible about America. It's a melting pot. The great thing here is we can reach out our hand and find someone that is from a completely different country. We just don't sit there and talk to them, or maybe ask them where they're from or what their life is like. It's very different. You have to kind of come from a place of being a citizen of the world rather than being a U.S. citizen, because this world is ours. It's not that this country is ours. It's that the world is
we're all
ours.
citizens of humanity, right?
Yeah. I mean, my dad lives in Thailand, and I'm lucky in that sense that I've been taught that at a young age.
So much perspective from Emily and Sam, and just cultural influences. It's pretty amazing, like all the things they've been able to do throughout their musical career, and being local Austin like musicians. It's pretty awesome. So another component of our website is that we have a beer portion. So being from Austin, we all know alcohol is everywhere. Favorite beer, favorite place to drink here locally?
Favorite beer?
Oh man.
I love a dark beer. I love a good stout. Hops and Grain is a really good local beer here.
Hops and Grain does really good stuff.
If you really want to drink good beer,
Oh, here we go. Exclusive. Where?
you want to go to ABGB.
So my wife and I have kind of our staples. The first thing that you learn being a musician in Austin is that Lone Star has to be your friend. If you can't make friends with Lone Star, then I don't know what you're doing with your drink tickets.
Yeah, Lone Star's your friend at like 2 a.m. after like 5 shots of whiskey.
But really, so like I'm a huge fan of Adelbert's. Adelbert's, is really like what is it? Their Screaming Monk, I think is what it's called. It's so delicious. And then I mean the Neighborhood, which is what they all lovingly refer to it as, right? It's that spot just north of 183. I mean I'm a big fan of Austin Beer Works. They did this really.
Oh my God, Pearl Snap! Pearl Snap is amazing.
Pearl Snap is great. They actually did this one called the Kylo Ren, which
Black Thunder. They have Black
Thunder's really good. good.
I think we just bonded on a new level. Oh man, we just became best friends, all three of us.
Yeah, but I was a huge fan of right when Star Wars came out. They did this limited release brewery.
Yes, beer nerd too.
Yeah, it was, and they called it the Kylo Ren, which is a character in Star Wars, and it was
Who is not the greatest bad guy, but we'll get past that.
right. And it was this weird. It was definitely based on like the Peacemaker Anytime Ale sort of maltiness, and they added a little bit of hops, and then I think they infused it with a little bit of orange, and it was super unique. It was easy to drink. It was really unique. So I mean, I love Austin Beer Works though.
I get a sense that Sam might be a home brewer. No, he's not. He just appreciates the good stuff.
Oh yeah, Sam really appreciates good beer, good wine.
Good wine.
Yeah, I love the 512 pecan porter.
Yeah,
that's a great
it's
one.
delicious.
Oh yeah.
Fireman's Four is kind of, I drink a lot at the Deep Eddy Cabaret, which if you've ever been to the Deep Eddy Cabaret, you know they have like 6 beers on tap and 3 bottles of liquor, and that's literally what you get. And so they carry Fireman's on tap, so that's like when I'm at my drinking hole, I can hit the Fireman's Four.
See,
on
Fireman's
tap.
is, I feel like Fireman's is like the Austinite's Lone Star.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For
Fireman's is just that beer that every Austinite gets. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get the night going. It's really the Austinite's Lone Star.
I like beer that's easy to drink. I can appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into really complex beers.
I just don't like my beers too perfumey. Sometimes these craft beers can get, but like they can get real perfumey. But I feel like Austin doesn't do that. Like the Austin beers never get. I don't feel like I'm drinking a bottle of perfume.
And this is, I think, where we may disagree, and I break a lot of hearts in beer conversations. I don't like IPAs. I don't like hops. I just don't like overly hoppy beers. It's
But
just
those are the
something
ones
in my
that get
palate.
perfumey.
They totally are. So I'm definitely like a lager, pilsner, Bock, sort of like
Yeah, I love a good
you
Pils.
love a good Doppelbock too, like nice and dark.
But I love a good Pils. Like I love the Pearl Snap.
Yeah.
You know.
So all you Austin breweries that aren't IPAs, they would appreciate some sponsorships maybe, because dang, they just wow.
We'll take free beer where we can get it.
As will we, because we cover some beer portion here. So tell us, are you going to play any? Going back to music for a second, are you just going to play any new songs while you're here? I know we talked about that song being from India. That's going to be on the new album. You guys going to play any other new music?
That's happening in about a couple months. We've got a lot of new music in the works, and we're planning on putting that in the set here soon. Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.
So let's. Where can people catch you during South by? What different places?
So we're playing. You know, we played South by so many times. We kind of learned that quality over quantity is the name of the game. We're playing 3 shows. We've got one at the Big Picture Media Show.
Handlebar.
Yep, tomorrow at the Handlebar at 4:30, and then Saturday we're live on Sun Radio at the Gibson Guitar Showroom at noon.
Awesome.
And then we play the Eye in the Sky Future Music Showcase at 8:30 at Shiner Saloon.
So you hear it, guys. Be able to try and check them out, because from those amazing stories alone, if you haven't heard their music, I can only imagine that the music sounds just as damn good. So what we like to say when we sign out is Texas Brews and Tunes out. So, and we usually do like a cheers. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
Texas Brews and Tunes out.